Good evening and thank you for tuning on to DBS Television for this 7 p.m. edition of the news. Let's open the news beginning with our top stories for tonight. The AU has approved a COVID-19 vaccine which is meant to be distributed to the member countries, one of which includes Cameroon, and this has caused a lot of ink and saliva to be flowing in and out of Cameroon. In this newscast, we bring you the view of Cameroonians as to the coming of a coronavirus vaccine into the country. In this news, we'll also bring you into the power struggle that is currently ongoing in the Cameroon Football Federation that is greatly contributing in tearing apart the Football Federation and Cameroon football as a whole. We'll get expert views and opinions on the way out of this situation and how to bring back Cameroon football into its one-time glory. These are our top stories that we have for you tonight. Stay with us and get the details when we return after the short break. Welcome back and thanks for staying with us for this 7 p.m. newscast with me, Cynthia Nguemo. In this news tonight, given the misconception around the coming of a coronavirus vaccine to Cameroon and following the AU, that is the Africa Union's approval of a coronavirus vaccine which is meant to be distributed to its member countries, our reporter De Vanessa Shuyong took to the streets of Douala today to talk to some Cameroonians and get their appraisal. Most of them in the following report says that they are quite skeptical about the vaccine and especially hope that Africa can produce its own. Her report.
African countries are gradually endorsing COVID-19 vaccine, Cameroon inclusive. This follows the recent announcement by the African Union chairperson that the AU has secured a provisional 270 million COVID-19 doses for Africa. Given the polemic around the trustworthiness of the vaccine developed so rapidly by some European countries, Cameroonians have expressed mistrust surrounding the vaccine, especially those to be endorsed in Africa. According to this man, it is a strategy by Western countries to crush Africans. He is calling on them to be natural by avoiding such vaccines, for it is the cause of many diseases we are not aware of, advising the continent's governments to create its own vaccine. To this other one, the COVID-19 vaccine is not needed in Cameroon. We are not convinced coronavirus exists or not, he says. Contrary to what others may say or think, this driver deems is very good. He says the disease has caused a lot to Cameroon, thereby calling each and everyone to protect themselves by respecting barrier measures and be ready to embrace the vaccine. Just like them, many people are questioning and raising concerns as to whether is it safe, what are the side effects, what are the risks, was the process rushed or politicized? All these engulfed highlights the sensitivity of most Africans to be vaccinated. This being spearheaded by fake news about the pandemic, with a unique feature that has been the torrent of both myths and disinformation and the mainstream nature of it. African governments are therefore tasked to communicate and sensitize their population on the importance of such vaccine already being purchased by some African countries.
The government of Cameroon has embarked on a mission to get a loan of over 55 billion francs CFA meant to finance the construction works at the Olembe Sports Complex. In the following report, Mange Venasius tells us that many Cameroonians are divided about the initiative, as many think that the cost of the infrastructure can bring Cameroon to offer themselves like two of the same structures of the same kind. Let's have his report.
On a surface area of about 34 hectares in the Olembe neighborhood in northern Yaoundé, a sports complex that includes a 60,000 seats covered Paul Biya Stadium, 2 training stadiums with 1,000 seats each, a gymnasium, a handball, basketball, volleyball and tennis courts, an Olympic swimming pool, a 5-star hotel with 70 rooms, a shopping mall, a museum and a cinema is on course. The 60,000 capacity stadium is under construction that has suffered countless setbacks due to financial difficulties. A number of visits from authorities have painted divergent pictures of the progress of work on the facility, estimated to cost about 160 billion francs CFA. Conflict in management had seen the first construction company, Grupo Piccini, abandoning the project that was later taken up by Canadian group Magil Construction Company, with the aim of delivering the facility on schedule for the CHAN and AFCON games as planned. This dream was not realized with the just-ended CHAN competition, with fears that the same incident may be with the AFCON 2022. The head of state is said to have ordered the government to obtain a loan of over 55 billion francs CFA from the Standard Chartered Bank in London to complete the sports complex. As it stands, 163 billion francs CFA would have been spent for the construction of the project. This will certainly bring the total cost of the facility to more than 213 billion francs CFA if the loan, when obtained, will this time succeed in completing the project. A sum which many have taken to social media to criticize that, if used judiciously, would construct two complexes of the same capacity in Cameroon.
As promised at the beginning of this newscast, we now take you into the power struggle currently ongoing at the helm of the Football Federation of Cameroon, which has obviously taken another twist. Two fractions led by Ibrahim Bombo Njoya and Professor Albert Mbida are claiming legal mandates to run the Football Association on interim basis. This comes after the verdict of the Court of Arbitration for Sport, CAS, cancelling the election of Mr. Bombo Njoya. Let's now get the appraisal of sports consultant Afese Apong, who spoke to our Yaoundé correspondent Ate Bonaventure. Let's listen.
The whole scenario is really confusing because it's not doing us any good in Cameroon football. This is actually 1 year since we've not had the local championship. The players have been home and we are seeing the effects. We saw the Intermediate Lions, they could not put up a veritable show during the African Nations Championship because those guys have been at home. They've not had enough play time. We've seen players that have been frustrated. I mean, go to the cartels, you see players who are working in chantiers, which I think it's not really good for our football. We were supposed to sit down. Why not on a round table, see how we can sort things, because I don't really think that going to the Court of Arbitration for Sports year in, year out, spending huge sums of money is doing any good to Cameroon football, because it's not helping us. Instead, we go and dump money at the Court of Arbitration for Sports, and the major actors, which are the players, are parading the streets without a franc. I mean, look at the living conditions of players in Cameroon. It's really miserable, and we're spending money, wasting time, and at the end of the day we'll still come back to the same to the same position, which to me it's not really good for the image of Cameroon.
Let's now listen to sports reporter Abel Samari, who says it is high time that disputing camps put their ego and selfish interest aside and all worked together to save the face of Cameroon's football. Let's listen.
If we have to respect our own text, if we put interest first, so you will discover that our football will grow. It is getting to 11 months. It's always getting to 11 to 12 months today that football has not been playing in this country because some people have hijacked the football. That is why those selfish individuals shift from their initial position. I strongly believe if everybody has to shift from where he's starting at this point in time, we are going to have solution in our football. And the government too is fueling the issue because we have some people in government who are strongly behind the boot camps, telling them not to shift from their position. Maybe they want to use football to destabilize the country. That is their own best opinion to them. But what we understand is that if we fail to respect our own laws created, if we think that some people are more than the laws of the land, the laws of the country, then we are going to be having a very difficult situation.
Now let's talk health. The Far North Regional Reference Hospital, which is currently under construction, is set to be ready to receive patients by September. This is the assurance that was given by Governor Mijiawa Bakari after he visited the construction site recently. Mange Venasius with that story.
The long-awaited reference hospital in Marua, one of the outstanding achievements of the greater accomplishment mandate of President Paul Biya in the Far North region, will be ready to receive patients by September. In a visit to the construction site, the governor of the Far North region was given assurances on what is left for the structure to be delivered on schedule. After visiting various sections of the hospital, the governor expressed his impressions.
We are very, very satisfied of what we have seen on the field. Much has been done. The company faces difficulty as far as COVID is concerned, even as the nature of the soil. They have solutions here and there, and we are all satisfied.
With over 10 billion francs CFA disbursed for the completion of the project being supervised by the National Assembly, the governor assured Far North inhabitants that the project is sure to be completed by September.
The government had fulfilled its decision to pay all the bill that has been put in the treasury. There is nothing as from now. There is no difficulty to stop this work, and we are sure that till September the work will be finished.
Accompanying the governor was a parliamentary delegation led by the regional president of the committee charged with the supervising of the execution of hospital projects in the Far North region, equally expressing favorable impressions.
I'm satisfied the rate execution, physical rate execution is now above 80%, and the financial rate execution is also above 34%. So the enterprise says that there's no difficulty for payment.
It should be noted that the hospital, with a capacity of 130 beds, which when completed could attend to over 500 patients at a time.
The Association of Medical Device Distributors in Cameroon have today met in the town of Yaoundé for their very first Ordinary General Assembly. The meeting took place under the auspices of the Minister of Public Health, Dr. Manauda Malachi. It had as objective the creation of a platform for dialogue with other members of the health sector in Cameroon in order to create an adequate follow-up of paramedical procedures in Cameroon. Ate Bonaventure completes that story.
Harnessing efforts for a proper medical intervention with the right actors and with the right devices is one of the reasons for the creation of the Association of Medical Device Distributors.
It is still a very young association which has come to stay to regroup all the distributors of medical devices in Cameroon, put them under one umbrella so that together we can reflect and work in synergy with government institutions like the Ministry of Public Health so that together we can fight or attain the objective fixed by the government of Cameroon.
The meeting has brought together members and other stakeholders in the health sector to brainstorm on how to reinforce collaboration for a better and proper functioning of the sector.
Distribution of medical devices is an important part of health system. We need medical devices to be available at affordable price with good quality. I think that's the first challenge to be made by this organization.
The representative of the Minister of Public Health, while opening the event, promised government support to the initiative.
I wish to see that there is no more false medical device in the market I wish to see that all the distributors, they will have their license, they're working together with the ministry so that the things should not go in the dark market.
Medical devices are instruments or inputs that are used for the treatment or prevention of ailments.
On another news story, there have been rumors circulating about the death of a prominent Cameroonian billionaire and businessman, Pascal Monkam, which has been circulating for many hours today, but the rumors have been debunked by his family, who declare that he is alive. The 91-year-old owner of La Falaise Hotel Group and other businesses was said to have died yesterday evening in a hospital in South Africa due to illness. His son, Alain Monkam, however, in a video today, refuted the false information, saying he is undergoing treatment in South Africa after he was evacuated from Cameroon due to illness. Cameroon's national radio and television also denied the information today, reporting an official version of his state of health. Pascal Monkam, take note, is one of the richest and most successful people in the country presently. And now we take you to news out of Cameroon, beginning from Nigeria, as we promised you yesterday to give you details about the most recent school attack that occurred. And in our Africa Roundup, our intern Rogiatu Buba tells us that over 40 school children were kidnapped, with one killed, shot dead at the spot as he tried to escape. Also in Uganda, some journalists have been battered by police or security officials when they were covering an event organized by opposition leader Bobi Wine, who was filing a petition for human rights violations in Cameroon. It is also said that the United Nations organization has intervened by condemning the violence. Details in the following with Rogiatu Buba.
Nigerian officials say gunmen attacked a school in the country's north-central Niger state, killing at least one student and abducting more than 40 people. Awal Abdurrahman, the school's head prefect, said the gunmen chased the students across the school and shot one of them in the head, trying to escape. A teacher informed that the gunmen entered the school premises dressed in military camouflage. This comes 2 months after gunmen abducted more than 300 schoolboys from a secondary school in Kankara, Katsina State. The attackers are still unknown. The President, Muhammadu Buhari, ordered the country's security agencies to secure the victims. The United Nations called for an investigation into allegations that Ugandan military police used excessive force during an attack against journalists who were reporting on the opposition of members of parliament and musician turned politician Bobi Wine, as he was highlighting allegations of human rights abuses in the country. The Secretary General of Ugandan Journalists Union said at least 20 journalists were hurt in the attack, with at least 4 sustaining deep cuts on the head. Trying to stem Bobi Wine's growing popularity, authorities have cracked down on his supporters using detentions and beatings. Following widespread condemnation, Uganda's army chief, General David Muhoozi, has apologized for the beating of reporters. He says the beating of journalists by military police was neither sanctioned nor justified, and the army will pay their medical bills.
That was the Africa Roundup page with Rogiatu Buba, our intern. Thank you for watching. It has been a pleasure to have you again for this edition of the news on DBS Television with me, Cynthia Ngwemo. Have a lovely evening in the company of our programs on DBS TV, and see you tomorrow, same time. Goodbye.